This is a place of legendary nightlife, of fascinating, larger-than-life history, and of stunning natural beauty that will leave you speechless. This is Dawson City. Welcome back, everyone, to another chapter of our Epic Alaska RV Adventure. In this episode, we explore a legendary northern town, the heart of the Klondike, Dawson City. We'll spend 2 adventure-packed days exploring Dawson City before heading south on the Klondike Highway to our next stop, Pelly Crossing. Our home base is the Yukon River campground, and we're all settled in now. But there's something calling us across that river, a certain cocktail we've heard so much about. So we're hoofing it down the campground road now, making our way to the ferry access. Wow, check out the Yukon Ferry from up here. From this high, the current might not look like much, but let me tell you, this river really rips. The ferry gets dragged way downstream while crossing, then has to struggle upstream just to land. This isn't their first rodeo, though. They've done it thousands of times, and they nail it again. As the ferry unloads, our view now shifts to Dawson City itself. Right across the river, this is it, the legendary heart of the Klondike Gold Rush. Even from up high, you can already tell this place is packed with history and unique character. But this isn't just a museum town. It's a living, breathing place still rooted in its gold rush past. People live here year-round, tucked away in this incredibly remote corner of the Yukon, which is just amazing. And for us, the real adventure starts right now. This is our maiden voyage, hopping on this ferry across the mighty Yukon. Riding across now, you really feel the power of the Yukon, watching this ferry carry everything from cars to giant RVs. What's truly incredible about this essential ferry is not just that it runs all summer long, 24/7, but it's completely free for everyone, no matter what you're bringing across. Stepping off the ferry, Dawson City is right here. It's less than a half-mile walk from our campground. Just past this old riverboat, which looks like it's getting some serious work done, the legendary streets of Dawson City really begin to take shape. Here we are, the Downtown Hotel, famous for one very particular Dawson City tradition. This is where our legendary Sourtoe Cocktail Adventure begins. We head inside and right away it's clear the Sourtoe is popular. There's a bit of a queue. The staff advises us to settle in, grab some food, and they'll call us when it's our turn. Sounds like a plan to us. But before our food even hits the table, guess what? They're already calling our name. So we make our way back to the Toastmaster's Nook, where the ceremony is in full swing. Steve's up first. You can drink it fast or you can drink it slow. But your lips must touch this gnarly toe. Just your lips, not your teeth, your tongue, or your gums. You just tell yourself it's like an olive at the bottom of a martini, except it's a mummified human toe that's been in more mouths than a dentist's mirror. All right, 1 down, 3 to go. We're not letting Steve be the only one. Dean's up next. Then it's my turn. And no, there's no way Dang is getting out of this one. Okay, certificate of survival in hand, we're heading back to the table. You know, for a guy who just drank a toe, I'm still surprisingly hungry. And would you look at that? we get back to the table and our dinner is waiting. After that unique appetizer, we have definitely earned this. Heading back to camp, the verdict is unanimous. The dinner was okay, but the real takeaway from a night out in Dawson City? It's always going to be the toe. The aurora alerts have been steady all night, and now that darkness has fallen, it's officially go time. We're all meeting at Dean's rig to get a clearer shot of the sky. And this is the moment we've been waiting for. It's Dean who spots the first sign, a faint green shimmer on the horizon that right before our eyes begins to dance. You know, the whole timing of this trip, coming back this late in the season, was planned around seeing this. After getting completely clouded out in Fairbanks, we were honestly starting to think it just wasn't in the cards for us. But I guess this is the magic of a journey like this. Just when you're convinced you've struck out, the road turns around and pays you back with a moment you'll never forget. You know, we could stand here and watch this show all night, but Dawson City isn't done with us yet. We've got a full day of exploring tomorrow. So as hard as it is, it's time to pull ourselves away and get back to the rig. Good morning. We might be moving a little slow after last night's light show, but we're all piled into the truck ready to see a completely different piece of Yukon history, the legendary Dredge No. 4. Okay, so this just got interesting. It's not enough that we have to get on the ferry. They want us to squeeze in right on the left side of that camper. I'm pretty sure our mirrors are wider than that gap, but the crew's waving us on like it's no big deal. Well, what do you know? Both mirrors are still attached. You gotta hand it to these ferry guys. They really know what they're doing. And luckily, the hard part is over. Getting off the ferry is a straight shot compared to the puzzle of getting on. Now before we go tackle that massive dredge, we're popping into the visitor center first. We've heard it's really well done and a great place to start, so let's see what it's all about. I'm actually blown away by how great this place is. For being so remote, the quality of these displays is amazing. Seriously, don't skip this stop. It's the perfect place to figure out your plan of attack for the whole area. And get this, even the staff are in full period costume. That's not something we were expecting. Heading out to the dredge now, and I can't get over the character of this town. In the daylight, you really see how much pride they take in these buildings. I mean, the Yukon winters must be tough on paint, so this is a serious commitment. The good news is, getting out to the dredge is no problem at all. It's a pretty straightforward drive, maybe 8 miles past the edge of town. We're noticing a few RVs parked out here and thinking it looks okay for boondocking. It's just important to remember this is an active mining area, so while it might be allowed, you'd probably have some noise. And here's the sign for Claim 33. We were really hoping to try gold panning here, but unfortunately we learned they shut the operation down a little while back. It's a real shame. We heard it was a great experience. And there it is. Even from a distance, the scale of this thing is just hard to comprehend. You're looking at the largest wooden-hulled dredge in all of North America. So when we say wooden-hulled dredge, what does that actually mean? Well, think of it like a giant floating factory. The wooden hold part means the entire machine is built on top of a massive wooden barge, basically a flat-bottomed boat. But how much work could this thing actually do? In a single 24-hour period, it could chew through 15,000 cubic yards of frozen muck and gravel. To put that in perspective, that's the equivalent of more than 1,000 dump truck loads every single day. For those of you planning a trip, the guided tour here is run by Parks Canada. As of 2025, it costs about $15 Canadian for an adult, with discounts for seniors and kids. Now here's the crazy part. This entire 8-story high monster, nearly the size of a football field, was run by a crew of only 4 or 5 people per shift. It was a giant automated gold-finding factory. To be fair though, that was just the team that needed to run it. It took dozens more people on the ground, doing maintenance, prepping the land, and making repairs, just to keep this single dredge in business. So how did they get a machine that's 8 stories high and weighs 3,000 tons to this exact spot? They didn't. They built it right here, and then it moved itself in the most ingenious way. The dredge is basically a giant factory built on its own wooden boat or hull. It would dig into the creek bed in front of it, creating a big hole that would fill with water. That hole became its own private movable pond. It would float in that pond, and using a series of massive steel cables attached to anchors on the shore, it would literally pull itself forward, chewing up the gravel, sifting out the gold, and then spitting the waste rock out on a giant conveyor belt at the back. By doing this, it was constantly digging away its pond in the front and filling it in at the back, effectively moving the entire pond with the dredge in it slowly across the landscape. We've made Dean our official winchman. Here's what that sounds like. That room was the nerve center of the whole operation. Each one of those massive levers controlled a powerful winch that moved the entire 3,000-ton machine. That loud clank you heard is the sound of a heavy-duty brake engaging. So, after all the digging and shaking, this room is where the magic happens. This is the gold recovery area, and these long sloped tables are called sluice boxes. The whole idea is that gold is heavy, so all the fine gravel washes over these tables and the gold gets trapped at the bottom. And that's a wrap on our tour of Dredge number 4. Honestly, if you're visiting Dawson City, you have to put this on the list. It's one of the best preserved historical sites we've ever seen. You know, after a tour like that, you think to yourself, how can we possibly top that? Well, we think we have an answer by driving to the top of the Midnight Dome. This is the legendary Midnight Dome, a spectacular vantage point 1,700 feet above the town. From here, the entire region is laid out before you, the city grid, the mighty Yukon River, and the mountains beyond. And for the more adventurous folks planning a trip, take note, the Midnight Dome is covered in trails. It's a major destination for mountain bikers, with routes that drop right from the summit all the way back to town. Apparently, being 1,700 feet above the valley isn't quite high enough for us. Dang is sending the drone up to see what this incredible landscape looks like from even further up. Okay, now you can see it all. From this high up, you really get a sense of how vast and wild this landscape truly is. Just unreal. And from up here, you can just see the Yukon River stretching for miles and miles. It's kind of amazing to think. The last time we saw this river was back in episode 16, hundreds of miles north on the Dalton Highway. It's hard to imagine, but the grid you're seeing below is almost the exact same layout from the heights of the Gold Rush. When you think of the chaotic, muddy streets of the 1898 boomtown, it's incredible to see how this orderly grid is what has survived and thrived. You can see photos and you can look at maps, but to really see Dawson City, you have to come up here. This is the spot. Isn't this just amazing? And you can drive right to it. Well, that's another definite must-do checked off the list. But the sun is getting lower, and our day in Dawson isn't over yet. We're heading back to camp to get ready now, because we've heard the nightlife in Dawson is a little bit different, and we're aiming to find out exactly how different it is. All right, before our big night out, we need a quick and healthy dinner. This is a classic RV pantry meal. We've got some canned salmon, a few veggies, and some kale that's been keeping great since we picked it back in Palmer. And on a travel day, or a night when you're heading out, quick and healthy are the two most important words. We're talking just a few minutes. Our mission tonight is to find one specific place, the legendary Diamond Tooth Gertie's. It's Canada's oldest casino and has been a Dawson City institution for over 50 years. Okay, we're about to walk through these doors. While this building itself isn't from the 1890s, it's the closest thing we have to a time machine. It was built to give visitors like us an authentic taste of what a Dawson City gambling hall was really like. To get in, you pay a one-time fee of about $20, which basically makes you a member for the whole summer. It's a great system because all of the profits go right back into preserving Dawson's history. We found a good spot right in front of the stage. The gambling is fun, but this is the main event, the show everyone comes to see. Now, this kind of show has a long history here. The Can-Can dance actually came all the way from the music halls of Paris, but it became a sensation in the Klondike. For the thousands of miners who came here, this was the ultimate entertainment. To understand the show, you first have to understand the audience. By 1898, there were 30,000 people in Dawson, most of them men who had endured incredible hardship to get here. They were isolated, lonely, and after a season of back-breaking work, some of them were suddenly rich. They were desperate for entertainment and a reminder of the world they had left behind. So places like this sprang up everywhere. They weren't just bars, they were the social centers of the town. This is where you'd hear the latest news, make deals, and most importantly, spend your gold dust to feel like a king for the night. The entertainment was a huge part of that. It was a spectacle meant to separate a miner from his poke. The women on that stage weren't just dancers. They were the biggest celebrities in the North. Many were professional performers from all over the world who followed the gold rushes. They were tough, smart businesswomen. A popular dancer could earn a fortune. not just from her salary, but from miners who would throw gold nuggets or bags of dust onto the stage in appreciation. Many dance halls also had a percentage system. After the show, the girls would head out onto the floor and get the miners to buy them drinks, usually overpriced tea or colored water. The dancer would get a cut or percentage of every single drink she could convince a miner to buy for her. Some dancers made more from their percentage than from the dancing itself. When you see the skill and athleticism that goes into a performance like this, you can understand why these dancers were such stars. These actors really do a great job of bringing that incredible history to life. And that's a wrap on our night at Diamond Tooth Gertie's. What a fantastic show. It's fun, it's historic, and it's just a great way to end a day in Dawson City. That cool September air feels great after being in the crowded hall. We're definitely glad we brought the car tonight. It's time to head back to the rig for our last night in Dawson. Tomorrow we say goodbye to this incredible town. One final important tip for anyone staying at the campground across the river: this ferry is running 24 hours a day. It's a great system that lets you enjoy the town without ever having to worry about the time. You know it's a travel day when you wake up to the sound of rain. That's been our luck on this trip, it seems. But if we had to choose, we'd pick the rain for today, because the weather we had for exploring Dawson was absolutely perfect. There goes Steve and Jane, getting a bit of a head start on us this morning. They've got a few of the usual RV chores to take care of, grabbing fuel and supplies on their way out of town. This is also where we part ways with Dean and LaMonda for now. It's never goodbye, just see you later. They have their own agenda for the trip south, but you never know when we might run into them again. We had these grand plans to launch the drone and get some epic shots of the rigs boarding the ferry. But as it goes with travel, Mother Nature had the final say today. All right, it's our turn. This is the second ferry we've taken the rig on this trip. You'll remember the first one in Valdez back in episode 8. This one's a lot smaller, which always makes you a little nervous about the ramps. Okay, we're on. Once again, these ferry guys are pros. Now we just have to get off this thing without a problem. At first glance, you see a huge truck like this and think, well, if he can fit, we can fit. But the real concern isn't size, it's clearance. Those massive wheels give him a huge advantage on the ramps. And we're moving. For better or worse, there's no turning back now. The ramp looks pretty steep, which is always a concern. But the saving grace is that the crew is constantly grading this landing, adding more gravel to lessen the angle. It makes a huge difference. This is it, our last drive through the heart of Dawson City. For a while at least. We've got to make a quick pit stop for gas before we hit the road. Ah, there's the welcome sign on the way out. We saw its twin on the way in, and while we'd normally stop for a photo, the rain is making that decision easy for us today. So our convoy is a little smaller now. It's just us and Steve and Jane heading south, with them leading the way out of Dawson. Making our turn here, we're hanging a right to stay on the Klondike Highway, which will take us across the Stewart River and on towards our destination for the night, Pelly Crossing. You'll definitely find your share of construction on the Klondike Highway, and while it's a delay for us, you can't help but think about the pressure these crews are under to finish everything before the season ends for good, just a few short weeks from now. So we've got about a 250-kilometer drive ahead. That's about 155 miles for our friends back home to get to Pelly Crossing. And even in the rain, the scenery out here is just spectacular. You know, for all the construction, the highway itself is in pretty good shape. Here we are at the Pelly River Bridge. On a long drive like this, these big landmarks are always a welcome sight. It means our stop for the night in Pelly Crossing is just ahead. There's a really great story behind this campground. This used to be a government-run site, but it was closed down a few years ago. The local Selkirk First Nation knew how important this spot was for travelers, so they stepped up, took it over, and now they run it for free for everyone. It's just a great act of community. It's all drag camping, but that suits us just perfectly. And there's only one other camper here. Well, look at that, a beautiful community garden right here at the campground. But before you get any ideas, no, this one is definitely not a you pick, folks. One of the best features of this campground is that you're right on the banks of the Pelly River, so we're just going to take a little walk and check it out. From up here, you can really see how this whole community is built around the Pelly River. It's a powerful waterway, and this crossing has been a vital link on the Klondike Highway for decades. But this area's history goes back much, much further than the highway. This is the heart of the traditional territory of the Selkirk First Nation. Their name for themselves is the Hutja-Hudan people, which means people of the flatlands. And for centuries, this very spot has been a traditional gathering place for their families to fish and hunt. The history here is one of incredible resilience. The original Fort Selkirk, their main trading post downriver, was abandoned after it was destroyed in the 1850s. The people scattered but endured, eventually re-establishing their community right here in Pelly Crossing. Today, Selkirk First Nation is a modern, self-governing nation, and their deep connection to this land and this river is as strong as ever. Just another reminder that every stop on a journey like this has a story much deeper than what we see on the surface. From the incredible history of Dawson to the quiet beauty of Pelly Crossing, these are the kind of moments that will be etched in our memories forever. It's been so much fun sharing this part of our journey with you. If you had fun too, giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel is a huge way to show your support, and we'd really appreciate it. Make sure to catch our next episode where we travel down to Watson Lake and the Signpost Forest. Until next time, happy camping.